So, what exactly is a collegium system? It is a system through which judges are appointed and transferred in the Supreme Court and High Courts across the country. In the Supreme Court, a group of 5 senior-most judges, led by the Chief Justice of India, decides on all the appointments and transfers of judges in the apex court. These appointments include elevation of High Court judges to the apex court and direct appointments of senior advocates as apex court judges. High courts have their own collegiums, comprising the court's Chief Justice and 2 senior-most judges. It only makes recommendations for appointments. A final decision about appointing High Court judges is taken by the Collegium of the Chief Justice of India and 2 senior-most judges of the Supreme Court. According to Article 124 of the Constitution, judicial appointments to the Supreme Court must be made by the President in consultation with India's Chief Justice and other senior judges of both the SC and High Courts. While Article 217 says that appointments to the High Courts should be fixed by the President, CJI, and the governors of states. The collegium system has for long been a bone of contention between the executive and the judiciary. Union Law and Justice Minister Kiren Rijiju recently alleged that the collegium system was opaque, and it was the government's job to appoint judges. The NDA government had passed the National Judicial Appointment Commission (NJAC) Act in August 2014 through the 99th Constitutional Amendment of Article 124A. The then law proposed a group of CJI, the 2 senior-most judges of the SC, the law minister, and 2 eminent people in place of the collegium. The NJAC had given the veto power to the CJI and other 2 senior judges in any appointment. It had also stipulated that the CJI would need the support of the other members of the commission, but the Apex Court on October 16, 2015 struck down the 2 laws related to the formation of NJAC, terming them unconstitutional.
To put my opinion on this very clearly upfront, I think the collegium system should be disbanded. But the overall purpose of the collegium system of appointments was to protect the independence of the judiciary. And let me just say that it has been a spectacular failure in doing so. The collegium system has not been able to prevent the union government from picking and choosing nominees and appointing them at will, from rejecting nominees out of hand and not having any pushback, and simply ignoring some of the nominations that the Supreme Court Collegium has sent in the context of both High Court and Supreme Court judges. Secondly, I think the collegium system has created new problems. The collegium system has entrenched the hold of certain privileged castes and classes over the higher judiciary in the country.
The debate around the collegium system is long-standing. The Supreme Court gave 3 decisions on this matter. In the first case of 1981, SP Gupta versus Union of India, the Supreme Court ruled that the President can turn down the recommendations of the CJI. In the second case, Supreme Court Advocates on Record Association versus Union of India in 1993, the Apex Court overturned the judgment and upheld the primal role of the CJI in appointing judges. The SC reiterated its stand in 1998, responding to a query by then President K.R. Narayanan about the role of the collegium. Law Minister Rijiju wants to reintroduce the NJAC, saying that the collegium system is not correct, not transparent, and not accountable. Rijiju is not alone. There are other proponents for overhauling the system. Some experts believe that while major changes are necessary, the collegium should not be completely scrapped. Let us listen in to Senior Advocate Sanjay Hegde.
Do we do away with the collegium system? I think not. The doing away with the recommendations of the judiciary or giving the judiciary a dominant voice in appointments will lead to, again, the law minister and therefore necessarily the prime minister or the chief minister having a extreme stake in judicial appointments, and particularly in cases of very strong governments, these governments dominating the process of appointment.
And any reform will require time and rigorous engagement from both the judiciary and the executive.
Completely do away with the collegium, you would need a constitutional amendment, and a constitutional amendment would possibly be challenged in the Supreme Court. There was a previous attempt by the Modi government as soon as it came in to do away with the collegium and bring in the National Judicial Appointments Committee. That was struck down by the Supreme Court. So unless you come out with a procedure which, having taken into account the previous judgment of the Supreme Court in the NJAC case, it restores primacy of the judiciary in judicial appointments, and at the same time makes for some kind of broad-based inclusion of others. I can't see any formal way of doing away with the collegium without a constitutional amendment.
But Prasanna Kumar believes there needs to be a third stakeholder in the reformation process.
Now, the problem is when there are only two stakeholders, there will inevitably be conflict. And the conflict might be one by one or one by the other, but it will be one of conflict. If we make it three stakeholders, I think there will be a possibility of much greater balance. And the third stakeholder that I would like to put into the discussion is the bar and civil society, that they will represent in some ways the views of the people who are not directly within the system, the people who are the beneficiaries of the system. I do think in terms of who should be involved, any future system has to, of course, involve judges, has to necessarily involve the government, but should also involve the bar and civil society.
Evidently, the collegium system needs reforms. The long history of the politics surrounding the debate between the judiciary and the government means that the process will require all stakeholders to come to a mutual understanding.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.